Namaskaram everyone. So welcome to a new video. Today I would like to discuss obviously about Durga, the Navadurga, because Navaratri is going on, and then the people who are celebrating the Navadurga, they are all seeking the grace of the Devi, and the festivals, worship, different rituals, and most importantly, the spiritual seeking is ongoing at the moment. So I would like to, shed some light on why there are 9 nights and different aspects. There are actually a different interpretation. There are different stories regarding this, and as we know that in the Indian subcontinent, the culture actually depends mostly on the analysis in which different significant esoteric knowledge are embedded within that. So in the context of the sadhana and everything, if you follow the Isha Foundation, Sadhguru mentions that the first 3 nights are for the Kali, for the Tamas, and then the next 3 nights are for the Rajas or the Lakshmi, and finally the final 3 days are for the Saraswati. That is how the process is celebrated in the Isha Yoga Center, and you can actually access a grace of the Linga Vairavi in these 9 nights by taking part in the Navaratri sadhana, which is facilitated by the Isha Foundation. So it's a very powerful process. I hope you guys make use of it. Now, apart from that one, now we'll be discussing mainly of the Durga. So why 9 nights? And there are actually 9 forms of the Durga, and what are the significance of them? So if we name these 9 Durga, 9 forms of the Ma Durga are assigned to a specific day in a particular order. So the first name is known as the Sailaputri, the second one being the Brahmacharini, third the Chandraghanta, fourth the Kushmanda, fifth the Katyayani, sixth is going to be Kalratri, seventh being the Mahagauri, and eighth the ninth the Siddhidatri. So these are the 9 forms of Devi assigned to each nights, and there is a special reason depending upon whether you are a householder or a spiritual practitioner or the esoteric spiritual practices. You can derive a different analysis into this one. You can find a lot of stories related with that one all across the YouTube and everything. But here, what we are actually concerned about is the most esoteric spiritual processes. So if we look into this one, if you know, basically the spiritual process only begins when the Sushumna becomes active. I'll not go much more deeper into this one. You have got a lot of energy channels in your system, and only when the Sushumna becomes active and the energy starts flowing through that one, which is also known as the Kundalini, only then the spiritual process begins. So basically the first night, Shailaputri, basically means the daughter of the mountain. And if you look into our spinal cord, which runs from the bottom of our body to all the way up to connecting the brain. So basically that part of the spinal cord is very, very important, and it's like an antenna for the spiritual processes. And it's also very, very important aspect in the, on this way of Kundalini energy and all that. So Devi Durga is a form of a Parvati. So Parvati being the consort of Lord Shiva, and her name actually becomes Parvati because if you lie down horizontally on the floor, your spine actually looks like a chain of mountains, and the mountains are known as the Parvat in Sanskrit. So that's where the Parvati comes into the play, because Parvati basically means the feminine version, and it's the one who abides in the mountain is known as the Parvati. So if you know that Shailaputri is basically the first form that is worshipped on the first night, assigned to the first night of the Navadurga. So she is the daughter of a mountain, basically means mountain, basically means rock, and rock basically means the earth element also. So it is associated with the Muladhara chakra, which is basically the starting point from where the energy originates. But at the moment, when we are referring to the Shailaputri, which is the child form of the Parvati, she's actually as a potential. She's not the realized form. The next night is the evolution of her. Now she becomes more aware, and then now she is practicing spiritual processes to convince and get the grace of the Lord Shiva. And this is where she is known as the Brahmacharini. And in Brahmacharini, it is said that when all the different demons come, in our analogy, spiritual analogy, these are different kind of thoughts and emotions and everything which can deviate you from the way. It is said that like she has got this kamandalu, which is a certain kind of utensil on which the monks or the saints are carrying the water with them. So what it is said that like she pours the water and washes all of them away, all the demons and everything. So basically means it's of course the Swadhisthana or the water element associated with that one. So at the end of the sadhana, now she's in the Brahmacharini phase. She does all her practices, and now Lord Shiva is convinced. Lord Shiva comes to her, and then he actually accepts her as the disciple. And at the same time, Shiva initiates her and then gives her the test of the soma, or basically the ecstasy. And he, in analogy, like it is said that like Shiva actually gives his moon to her. So moon is related with the intoxication and ecstasies. So it's the time when like Shiva actually initiates her to the advanced practices and so on. And it's the fire of the sadhana that she is under. And this is what we know as the Chandra Ghanta. So now she's progressing in the story, like now she's Shiva's wife, but at the same time like she's the equivalent consort of Shiva also. Now as she knows all the different kind of spiritual process, now she's like progressing in her spiritual practices. Now she's making progress. It is said that this was a time when like Shiva actually gave her 112 ways of meditation, ways which is known as the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. And apart from that one, she was also given different kind of tantric processes and everything through which she would be able to explore different dimensions of herself. So the next night is associated with the Kushmanda. Now this is the phase when a spiritual seeker, after getting all the teachings from the Guru, he's actually like working on himself, progressing. So there are actually like two types of womb. It's not like that you are already born and you are a finished product. It's not like that. A human being is a progression, not one human, like all the living beings in the world. They are all actually progressing, evolution in the process of improving themselves step by step. So in this context, like there are two wombs. The first womb is known as the Brahmanda. Brahmanda basically means Brahma plus Anda, basically means one anda, or the physical existence is known as the Brahmanda. And apart from that one, like a Kushma and anda basically means, Ushma basically means the energy, and then the anda basically means the womb. So we are also in the spiritual womb of the existence. So basically, like a Kushmanda is the night, the name of the Devi on the night in which we are celebrating her as the mother, and we are inside her womb. So in this context, like Parvati is, progressing. She's evolving. Her spiritual process is evolving, going towards the maturity. So after that, the next night is celebrated for the Skanda Mata. Skanda, if you know, is also known as the Murugan or Kumar or Skanda, Kartikeya. So basically, like he is the son of Lord Shiva, who actually has got 6 heads. These 6 heads actually represents the 6 dimensions or the 6 chakras in the human system. So in this phase, Ma Parvati has now mastered all these 6 chakras, and she has mastered all these 6 dimensions. So she is known as the Skanda Mata. After exploring all this from the spiritual practices and everything, now she wants to explore, to share what she knows, and then like she wants to help everyone. In this context, if you know, now the gods and other beings, they come to Lord Shiva and then wants Parvati to take the form of powerful deity and then vanquish the enemies, especially Mahisasura. So she takes the form of the Katyayani, and this is actually a very, very important phase if we want to know about it. So in this phase, actually, we know that there is a Mahisasura Mardini Stotram also. So basically, like this actually shows the phase when she has to overcome, or like we as a spiritual seeker has to overcome the animal nature of ourselves. So even though you have experienced that you are not the body and you are not the mind, but as long as you are here, they will have influence on you. Sometimes stronger influence and sometimes lower influence on you. So the degree of freedom completely depends on like how much you can enforce from your side. So if you follow the Mahisasura Mardini Stotam, it is said that there's a terminology known as the Vindhyachala Vasini, Mahisasura Mardini. So Mahisasur basically represents the buffalo or the compulsive animal nature, which is actually looking only for survival. It does not care about the transcendence or the other dimensions or liberation, which we refer as a moksha or nirvana or whatsoever. So Parvati, as we discussed, represents the Kundalini energy, and Durga with her five arms in each side and then 10 arms represents the highest level of Kundalini energy, spiritual energy. But that is not enough to overcome the animal nature. So for that one, like we actually need the quality of a Shiva, of that of intensity and then the stillness. Because of that reason, like if you know, the Vindhyachal actually is made up of 2 words. The first word is Vindhya, which basically means the hunter, and then Achala basically means unmoving. So that is one of the reasons, like all the mountains ends with the word Achala. Arunachala, Nilachala, Sitachala, and here like a Vindhyachala. So it is said that like She's the one who resides in the Vindhyachala. In this story, it is said that Ma Parvati takes the energies from all the deities, and with all that energies and everything, like she rides the lion and starts to climb the Vindhyachala to kill Mysticism. So basically in this context, like Sadhguru mentions that what we know as a Shiva is the highest intensity and stillness. It's just like the animal, let's say like a leopard or the lion is trying to hunt. So they are so still and everything, they are just waiting to pounce. And they have got so much energy that it is just about to explode. It is just about to explode. It's on the edge. So that is the quality of the yogi who should be in the state of meditation. So basically, if we look into the few of the forms of the Shiva, in one of the form, Shiva is represented as the hunter, and in that form, like he's known as the Kirat. So basically, now Parvati has got all the energies, but she also needs the intensity and then the stillness and awareness. Because of that reason, like she rides the lion, and this lion actually represents the hunter aspects of it. When you call hunter, again, just like we're not talking about, different ways of hunting, but in the context of the way of the Shiva, that he's just on the edge of the highest intensity and everything, but at the same time completely controlled and, in full awareness and highest level of consciousness and stillness there is. So it is said that like through all this thing, Parvati was able to conquer the darkness in this case, or the limitations of the animal nature. And if you go to many temples, like you will always see that like the Devi is on the top of, either the Lord Shiva or on the top of the animal nature, Mysticism. Same thing is represented in the Linga Bhairavi temple also. Now she conquered that, she conquered and vanquished the Mysticism, and she has gone beyond the mind and body. And after that, like she comes back, and the next phase begins is the Kalaratri. Now the Kalaratri actually represents the beyond of what is possible through the spiritual practices and everything. In this case, she fights Chandamunda and then the Raktavija. These are the names of the different kind of demons, very similar to Mysticism, but in this case, the difference is Raktavija is a kind of a demon. Every time his blood falls into the ground, a new Raktavija will form. For example, like when the Parvati cuts the head of Durga, is going to cut the head of Raktavija, and then let's say like there are 100 blood drops has fallen into the ground, you got like 100 more Raktavijas. So this way, like it was completely impossible for her to kill. So because of that reason, like she takes the form of the Kali. So in this, we celebrate her as the Kalaratri. So in this case, from the spiritual aspects and everything, now a seeker, after experiencing all this, now like he's exploring the mysticism aspects of life. So in this case, like he reaches or she reaches to the highest amount of power and spiritual experiences which he cannot control himself or herself. So because of that reason, in the story, it is said that when the Kali kills everyone and she starts drinking the blood of the Raktavija because she does not want the Raktavija to manifest again, so drinks all the blood. So Raktavija is actually the analogy for our never-ending desires. Even though we have conquered our animal nature in the Mysticism, we still have got other kind of desires. For example, like the desire of the immortality, desire of the pleasure, or desire of exploring like all different kind of spiritual powers and different kind of things. So by consuming all that desires within her, now she loses control, because now the nature of the Rakta Bija has taken into her. Although like she's all more powerful, now her desires are not only physical, but it has actually gone beyond, and then it's more subtle and more mystical and more otherworldly, but at the same time very, very difficult to control. So because of that reason, like she goes out of the control, and it is represented by a Shiva finally lying down on the floor in the ground, eventually which when she comes and then put the feet on the top of the Shiva, she actually realizes that she had actually lost the track of her main goal. Her main goal was to control these different dimensions of herself, which are limiting herself, but at the same time, she had actually gone beyond them, but at the same time, like it was too much for her to control. So once she realizes, she now starts doing the sadhana. In the story, it is said that like she goes back to Brahma, and then she starts doing sadhana to balance all her energies, to overcome this new limitation that she has created herself. And after sadhana, she comes back to the balance and equanimity. So in this case, she's celebrated as the Mahagauri. And finally, like as it progresses, she now not only have the balance, but also the mastery over her entire system and all dimensions of herself. And finally, she realizes her ultimate nature. And this is where she gets enlightened, and this is also known as the Siddhidatri. Now, she's not only enlightened and self-realized, but she's also now the bestower. Now, she can also initiate people. She can also give boons to people. She can also, change the life of everyone. And now, like she can become the bestower of the spiritual processes and everything also. So this is why she's known as the Siddhidatri. Siddhi basically means powers, not only in terms of the different activities you can do, but also means mastery over yourself. So this is the 9 days that the Durga takes phase, the evolution of the Durga. And it's not only the evolution and then the exploration of the Navaratri and the Durga, but it's the exploration of ourselves also. How we are just the seed as the Shailaputri. And then we, first of all, like try to progress and then try to figure it out what this is all about. And finally, like we find a guru as a Chandraghanta, do the process and progress as Kushmanda. Finally, having the mastery about different parts of our system as the Iskanda Mata. And finally, like overcoming the animal nature as Katyayani, and exploring the other dimensions of ourselves as the Kalaratri. And finally, like finding the balance within ourselves as the Mahagauri, and eventually flowering to the ultimate nature as the Siddhidatri. So this Navaratri, let the grace of the Devi fulfill all your physical desires, as well as make you competent enough to pursue and flower into the ultimate potential that Shiva has given to Ma Parvati, which she achieved. And because of that reason, we are all here to celebrate her victory over herself. And it's also a possibility for us also that we strive and reach to our ultimate flowering. Let's make it happen. Namaskar.